Hi, Dr. Michelle Stafford here again with our Mixed Dentition podcast. And today, my special guest is Marissa Emery with Mama Needs Massage.
Hi.
And I'm so glad to have you here on the podcast today.
Thanks
for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And you are a massage therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love massage therapists.
Most people do.
Yes. And let's talk first about your areas of expertise. What do you specialize in?
Absolutely. I specialize in serving new moms.
Love it.
So I work to support them in that crazy phase of new motherhood. I do a lot of relaxation and recharging. My work tends to be on the lighter side, so it's a lot of sort of emotional, mental support. And of course, I work on backs and shoulder aches and neck pains, but a lot of it is focused on sort of supporting it as a whole person.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. And I read that you do CranioSacral Therapy.
I do, yeah.
And you mostly just work on adults, though.
I do work on adults. CranioSacral is one of my favorite tools in the toolbox. And so I just sort of include that whenever I throw it into sessions here and there. Mm-hmm. It can be really, really calming. And I know that when I get massage, I rarely will fall asleep, but if I am getting CranioSacral, I am out.
Yes.
It's sort of magical in calming the nervous system, mm-hmm. and it's a great tool to have.
Yes, definitely. It has that effect on me as well. So.
Yeah,
yes,
it's powerful stuff.
It is powerful. What other modalities do you use in your practice?
So I do myofascial work. I do mostly Swedish, and I do some energy work. Mm-hmm. So Polarity Therapy a little bit, and I just really mix it up.
Great. Yeah. So for our audience out there, can you define Polarity Therapy?
Sure. Polarity Therapy is a type of energy work. It's a mix between Eastern and Western styles, and the focus is really on sort of balancing the energy that's already within you. Oh, okay. And it can be so calming and really just helps you feel balanced. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
It's lovely.
And it sounds like, with Mama Needs Massage as your company, you specialize mostly with mamas? Absolutely.
So I work with postpartum, prenatal, and the full gamut of motherhood, really. Postpartum is really where my heart is at. I had a great pregnancy and easy births, and my first year of motherhood was really, really hard. And that's where my passion for new moms comes from and supporting them. There's a lot of isolation, there's a lot of overwhelm, there's a lot of focusing full-time on baby and forgetting yourself. And I was definitely in that boat and struggled for a really long time. And after coming out of it, I realized this is where I need to be to support folks. And so it's something I'm really passionate about.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah. And you also do workshops.
I do.
Tell me about that.
So I'm just starting recently to sort of expand my impact. And I love working with moms and families. And I also teach kids how to massage each other, peer-to-peer massage.
That's really great.
In classrooms, in schools. And so I'm sort of melding the two, and I'm starting to do some parent-child massage workshops. So a parent and child will come in as a pair. We've got a few pairs in the room, and we talk about asking for permission before you touch someone and waiting for their answer and respecting that answer. We practice using our hands to help someone with kindness, and sort of checking in and asking, how does this feel? Practicing empathy and practicing respect. And there are so many amazing themes built into that, and so I love it.
Great.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Is that similar to what you do in the classroom for kids?
It is very similar. Yeah.
That's so great.
So in the classroom, I've been working at my kids' school for the past few years. We pair kids up, and every time the first step is always, may I give you a massage? and then they wait for their partner to say yes or no, and they respect that answer. So it's a lot of just practicing that routine of
That's so great.
of learning about consent and learning about respecting someone's choices about their body.
Yes.
And then we teach them a really simple massage routine, which is super kid appropriate. You know, they do bear walking on someone's back, and they do cat grip on the neck, and it's super sweet. And I love sort of watching the kids melt onto their tables because they're so relaxed, and it's just creating that safe space in a classroom that that a lot of kids don't get elsewhere.
Right.
So it's been really powerful.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
What a great service that you provide.
It's been amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah, and just educating kids at such a young age.
Absolutely.
To start with consent and respecting one another.
Absolutely.
I think that's just such a wonderful
I think
thing.
a lot of schools are going towards the don't touch.
Right.
And this is the opposite. It's teaching how to touch.
Yes.
And how to be respectful and appropriate with it. And it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's really great, because I think teaching kids not to touch also sends kind of it can send kind of a wrong message. I mean, my kids
Absolutely.
love to hold hands.
Right.
And they love to snuggle. And
Yeah.
I don't want them to be afraid to snuggle somebody, give somebody else a hug.
Right.
But it's great to teach them to ask permission and
Absolutely.
respect that answer that someone
Right.
gives them.
And that it can be positive and
Yes.
healthy and
Healthy.
nurturing. And I mean, touch is one of our most deeply ingrained senses. It's the first one that develops it even before birth.
Right.
And it's something that we literally need for survival. And so teaching kids to just not is really missing the point.
Great.
And so it's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. I'm like, oh, how can I get you in my school
Right?
with my kids?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love that. Could you describe to our audience out there what it looks like to have a massage while pregnant? I know personally I had some massages while I was pregnant, and I'm familiar with it, but I think there's a lot of people out there that might not have that experience and would be interested to know, how is it different for a pregnant mom?
Sure.
What equipment and whatnot you use?
Yeah. So pregnancy massage is all about mom's comfort.
Yes.
So as you are changing how you're lying in bed and sleeping at night, that's really sort of the foundation of where we take it from. We'll talk about any contraindications, anything that's going on with the pregnancy that are sort of yellow flags or things that I should know about. And we have you lying on the table just how you are comfortable lying. So a lot of people in their very beginning are comfortable lying on their stomach, and a lot of people aren't. And so I really take my cues from each person. Once belly gets big and folks aren't comfortable lying flat on their stomach or their back, then I do a lot of side lying. So the most of my prenatal massages are done side lying. And I don't know about you, but I used like many pillows when I was on my side.
Right.
And that's basically how we do it on the massage table. And so I'll work on sort of the one side and then have someone slowly get slower and slower, right? Roll over and then work on the other side. And it's just all about your comfort.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Brings back some positive memories for me. Thank
Yes.
you. And now, how would that look and feel different for, say, a postpartum mom who's just recently given birth?
Yeah. So again, it's really dependent on their comfort level. So again, if they're comfortable lying on their stomach, then they can. If they're not, we'll sometimes do side lying. One other thing that I do mostly for postpartum moms is go to their home.
Oh, nice.
So not a lot of therapists will do that in town, but that's a really special thing that I get to do. And folks who have just given birth and are not able to get away for an hour or more, it can be really tricky.
Yes.
And so I'll bring my table and all of my stuff, and all they need is a baby snuggler, basically, someone designated to hold on to baby for that hour so mom can actually rest. And that's a big piece of what I offer for postpartum folks.
That's a wonderful service that you can offer.
It's lovely.
Postpartum moms. And now tell me a little bit about self-care. Do you have some tips for our audience about things that we can do for ourselves? Yeah,
self-care is a real is a real biggie for me. It's something that I've struggled myself with, particularly in real early motherhood.
Yes.
It just fell right off the plate.
Yeah,
You know, I was last on my list, and it showed, and nobody benefited from that. I didn't benefit from that, and my family was suffering because of it too. And so self-care can look like a million different things, and I've found sort of coming out of that what I need to fill my cup has changed over the time. So sometimes it's nature, or sometimes it's moving my body, or sometimes it's touch. It can be a lot of different things, but I think it's really important to sort of take the time to check in with yourself and see what it is you need.
Right.
Sometimes it's just being in a quiet room and reading a book.
Yes.
Even if it's one chapter, right. And then it gets busted in, you know.
Yes.
It can look so many different ways, but I think really the key thing is that it's filling your cup in the way that you need that day. And so I work really hard for myself to try to do something every day if I can, even if it's just like a few moments of like, okay, this is my quiet moment, and then I can get on with my day, just trying to remember myself.
That's great. Yeah, and hard to do as a mom, for sure.
It can be really hard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're focused on other people all day, and
yes.
I don't know about you, but by the time I get my kids to bed, then I'm like, oh, do I have 5 minutes? I can read a book before I fall asleep.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it can be really hard to fit in.
Yes.
But I think that being mindful of how critical it is in your life can really help to sort of, I have 5 minutes and no one's around. This is what I'm going to do for myself, even if it's just step outside and breathe some fresh air. You know.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice, for sure.
I've worked hard for it.
That's great. Are there any self-massage tips that you can provide our audience?
You know, one of my most recent favorite things, because I get really tight forearms. I don't know if you do too.
Oh, I do. As a dentist, for sure.
So just sort of squeezing the muscles is really wonderful. I've found that it makes the other hand really tired.
Yes.
So if you use sort of your thigh and squish it in between with your forearm, you kind of move this hand up and down.
So we're moving our wrist of one arm while we are pushing with the forearm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can just kind of scoot along as fast or as slow as you want. But it really, really makes a difference for me, and I use these a lot, as you do.
Yes.
It's a little bit of an awkward angle, but it's lovely, and that's one of my favorites. Another favorite of massage therapists is always the corner of a wall.
Oh, yes.
For sort of that in between the shoulder blades spot, and that's my best friend usually.
Yeah, the corner.
Yeah.
To get in there, shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Oh,
otherwise, it's kind of hard to get in there, but
yeah. Well, that's great. How can families find you out there? What's your website?
So my website is mamaneedsmassage.com.
I love this. Mama does need
Thank
massage.
you. Yes, it resonates with a lot of people.
Yes.
I have an online scheduler there, so people can go on any time of day or night and pop themselves in. I know that I usually remember that I need a massage like at midnight.
Yes,
so
agreed.
So that's there. People can also buy gift certificates. It's a great idea for baby showers, or for if your wife is having a baby. I've been getting a lot of dads calling and needing gift certificates for their women. And my office is in Bridgeport Village.
Great.
So I share a lovely clinic space with Vitality Northwest there, and it's peaceful and beautiful, and of course I also offer in-home sessions for folks who need it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's been great to see you, Marissa. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Absolutely.
And for our audience out there, I hope that all those mamas out there get a massage and just have that time to be peaceful and that self-care.
Thank you.
Me
too.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience. And remember, fill the world with smiles. Bye.